Okay, so I went to Hacker News and I saw, can this site get a proper URL that include the words Hacker News? So I went to Namecheap and I bought Hackernews.live, and I'm gonna create I'm gonna register Hacker News Live with Control Plane. I'm the CEO of Control Plane, such that I'm gonna run the code that I had ChatGPT help me a minute ago write. And basically, this code, I asked ChatGPT, write me Go code that will redirect the caller to port 8080. I'm going to expose 8080 on 443 TLS, but basically take a environment variable called redirect URL. I wanted to make it generic and then containerize it. So to containerize it, all I had to do is write the following command. One second. The following command is this: CPLN for control plane image build dash dash name. I gave it a name, generic redirector version 0.1, and push. And what it gave me is a new image in the control plane image repository, Docker repository, called generic redirector 01 in my org. So I'm going to go deploy it now because I have an image. Now, before I can do that, I'm going to go into control plane and define a domain. So to add a domain, I called it hacker news dot, what was it? Hacker news dot live. And I simply follow the instructions. So what does it want me to do? It wants me to put a text record underscore CPLN with this value. So I'm going to go to Namecheap and I'm in advanced DNS, and I'll remove these unnecessary things. Now I could have used the built-in redirection, but it's kind of slow, and I want to show off control plane, so I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm going to set the text record to underscore CPLN, and I'm going to put that value. I'll make it 5 minutes and save. So now, depending on how fast the Namecheap domain DNS propagation happens, I can go to control plane and say I configure DNS, continue. So I'll wait a minute. It's not ready. So what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and I'll continue once the recording, once the DNS propagated. It may take 10 minutes, maybe more, maybe less. So I'll come back when it's ready. Anyway, I verified that the DNS propagation happened, and I ate some pizza. So I'm back here. Let's add the new domain. Again, hacker news dot live. And what we can do is we can choose the global virtual cloud we want to point this to. Now, I didn't create a global virtual cloud. So in fact, what I'm going to do is create what we call the global virtual cloud. I'll call it Hacker News. And Hacker News, I can make it dev, I can make it prod, I can make it whatever. I'll just call it Hacker News. And I can choose from any number of locations that I enabled in my orgs. For example, if I want it in Amazon US East, I can just turn it on. If I want it in Amazon US West, I can turn it on. So I have 2 or 200 or however many locations I want. I think 2 locations is sufficient here. And now that I have a global virtual cloud, I can take and create the workload. So let's create the workload. I'll say new serverless workload. I'll call it redirect to Hacker News. The name doesn't matter. And for the image, I can press Control I and start typing generic redirector. That's the image I built and pushed into the control plane registry. By default, we listen on port 8080, but I can change that. I can change the environment variables, and I call the environment variable redirect URL, and I can point it to news, the domain that you do not like. I'll go here. I'll have it as a literal value. And then for the firewall, I'll allow inbound requests and I'll allow outbound requests. And that's really all I need to do to create the workload. So it's going to pull the image. Let me move it over here. It's going to pull the image. And now, in a moment, we can test it once the image has been pulled, and we can see in Amazon US East, the replica is initializing. In Amazon US West, the replica is initializing. Since it's nighttime, I'll make it dark mode. I can see they're ready. So I can go to either the West Coast URL or the East Coast URL and navigate to them directly. But instead, I'm going to go to the global URL, which is here, and it will route me to the nearest healthy location. So if I click, you see it redirected me to Hacker News. So I know the application is running. Now all we need to do is add the domain. So let's go add domains, create Hacker News.live. Then let me close this 1 second. I'm going to choose the GVC Hacker News. The workload is redirect to Hacker News. It wants me to create a record called basically this value as a CNAME. So I'm going to make a record CNAME. Add new record, CNAME. The host is that's the target. I'll make it 5 minutes. Save. And that's it. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go back to control plane here and say I've made the changes. And and you can see here the certificate for custom domain hackernews.live cannot be generated because its DNS settings are not correct or all settings are still cached. So the system will continuously try and ping the various DNS servers around the internet to see if that record has been propagated. The minute it's propagated, I'll be able to, basically when you go to, so it's ready in US West already, the certificate has been delivered and everything. So if I go to hackernews.live, it's not ready yet because it's probably still propagating, but we'll give it a second. From somewhere, somewhere a DNS is correct, but for my local machine, that record hasn't been propagated. But we'll give it another couple minutes, and by the time you see this video, if you go to hackernews.live, which hopefully solves the problem, so I'm going to respond to my friend here while we're waiting. I'll say I run http control plane.com. I asked myself, why isn't there a Hacker News domain? So I bought hackernews.live on Namecheap for about $3.50 and used control plane to redirect from https hackernews.live to news.ycombinator.com. If you're interested in how I did it, I recorded a video which you can find here. And what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and I'll upload it to YouTube, to our YouTube channel, and then I'll add the YouTube link over here. So hopefully, now let's see if this works. Let's go back to here. By now, I can see both are okay. So let me copy. Let me try it in some incognito window. And here you go. You go to Hackernews.live, and it takes you to Y Combinator. So nothing fancy. The point is, you can take a endpoint. You can take an application. Doesn't matter the language, C Sharp or Python or Ruby or Rust, and you can easily control planify it. Here I have a Docker file that I had ChatGPT write for me. And all I did was, again, CPLN. I did CPLN image build, built the image, then I created the image, and voila. So I'll stop the recording, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. To learn about control plane, do visit us on controlplane.com. That app will cost me about $1.50. It's about 25 millicores. So it's going to cost me, and maybe it's going to be 32 megs of RAM, if that, probably less. It's going to cost me $1.75 per location. So 2 locations will cost me like a cup of coffee, $3.50 or something like that. So that's about it. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I did doing it. Thanks.